In the northern highlands of Burkina Faso, near the border with Mali, shepherd boys made a discovery that shocked the entire world. While tending their animals, they uncovered a shallow grave, then another, then many more. What emerged from the earth told a story that had never been written. Bones bound at the wrists, skulls fractured with blunt force. A massacre buried not only in soil, but in silence. There were no records of it, no UN documentation, no mention in French or American archives. For decades, it had simply not existed until one object surfaced. A rusted tag, worn by time, traced back to a Cold War-era US mining contractor. Within 72 hours, Burkina Faso's president arrived at the village. He stood before the exposed ground and spoke quietly. History speaks softly when it has been gagged. Today, we remove the gag. What happens when a nation chooses memory over fear? International observers quickly urged caution. They warned that excavation without official historical context could inflame tensions. They suggested delay, review, silence. The president refused. You buried them once, you will not bury the truth again. No accusations were announced, no charges filed. Instead, a single decision altered the course of the country. He ordered a full excavation to begin immediately. At dawn, villagers gathered, elders stood beside students. A handful of international journalists arrived quietly, without announcements or escorts. There were no sirens, no ceremonies, only shovels breaking ground that had waited decades to speak, and the earth did not whisper, it testified. Within days, 51 skeletons were uncovered. All were male, most between the ages of 20 and 40. Many bore clear signs of execution. Their hands were still bound with wire. Forensic analysis revealed blunt force trauma. One skull carried the imprint of a foreign military boot. Analysts confirmed the site did not match any known battle, rebel camp, or documented conflict. No war, no accident, only disappearance. Local elders filled in what history never recorded. They remembered men arriving with heavy machines, promising work and wages. They remembered soldiers following soon after. And then, nothing. Silence, it seemed, had protected someone for a very long time. In Ouagadougou, pressure mounted quickly. Foreign diplomats urged restraint. Aid partners quietly warned of consequences. The message was clear. Digging into the past could cost the future. The president responded by widening the search. He ordered a national truth dossier, a comprehensive review of all Cold War-era resource contracts signed between 1960 and 1980. Many carried direct links to American and European mining firms. In a public address, he spoke plainly. If the truth burns your eyes, it is because you helped light the fire. Thousands of yellowed documents were scanned and released online under a new public portal called Echoes of the Earth. Within days, hundreds of thousands of downloads flooded the servers. Researchers and students began connecting dots that had been deliberately separated for decades. One document stood out. A 1971 memorandum granting exclusive mineral rights to a U.S. firm in a zone labeled simply as Zone D. That zone overlapped precisely with the burial site. It was not proof of a massacre order. It was proof of something colder. Indifference. And indifference, once exposed, is impossible to defend. Instead of tribunals or international lawsuits, the president chose a different response. He commissioned the construction of a memorial. No names, no flags, no marble. Only stone and a single sentence carved in both French and Moor. They lived. They are not forgotten. Local artisans led the construction. Children carried stones from the surrounding land. At the inauguration, the president refused to speak. Instead, a woman stepped forward. The daughter of a missing miner. My father went to work and never came home. Today, he finally has a place. And the world began to realize this was no longer local. Across Africa, stories began to surface. Old letters, forgotten shipping logs, names whispered for decades now spoken aloud. From Mali to Ghana, from Namibia to Mozambique. Beyond Africa, the resonance spread. In Brazil, indigenous activists shared maps of unmarked graves near gold concessions. In the Philippines, families of missing miners posted testimonies in solidarity. And then the movement expanded again. The government launched a new initiative, the Atlas of Silence, an online map marking sites of unacknowledged graves, extractive violence, and disappeared communities. No accusations, no borders, just dates, testimonies, and images of forgotten ground. Students translated it. Elders contributed stories. Even citizens in former colonial powers began submitting documents hidden in attics for generations. History was no longer being written by the powerful. It was being reclaimed by the remembered. Then came a letter that changed everything. A handwritten letter arrived at the presidential office. It was signed only with an initial. Inside was a foreign military unit badge and a confession. I was ordered to secure the zone. I saw the pits. We were told to forget. The president did not publish the letter. He did not name names. Days later, he stood silently at the memorial and spoke just one sentence. We asked for memory, not revenge, and memory always finds a way out. By then, the reckoning was unstoppable. A global summit followed in Ouagadougou. Leaders, survivors, historians, and poets arrived. But no Western governments were invited. There were no red carpets, no treaties, no final declarations. Only one shared understanding emerged. Memory is a human right. The summit ended quietly. But something irreversible had begun. Because you can bury a body, you can erase a document, but you cannot unteach a people who have learned how to remember. This was not a revolution of arms. It was a revolution of remembrance. And in a world where silence had always favored power, the forgotten finally spoke. And the world listened. If stories like this matter to you, stay with us. Subscribe the channel. Like and share this video so it reaches those who were never taught this history.